Why am I choosing to give Wuthering Waves a chance? Innovation! Okay, so let me elaborate on that. I'm choosing to give Wuthering Waves a chance because I believe it has the potential to improve the gacha scene and pick up Hoyo versus, or more specifically, Genshin's slack. And with less than a week away, I am really excited, not just because there will be more opportunities to make content that I'll enjoy making, but also because Wuthering Waves appears to be the frontrunner, if not one of the frontrunners for this new upcoming age in gacha games, in my opinion. Alright, so before I move forward with the video, I just want to humbly request that you like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me grow my channel and makes me more motivated to make content. This is a very experimental video as I haven't made anything in this style, but I do want to get my thoughts and opinions about Wuthering Waves out there and maybe even open up a discussion before its release. Anyways, back to the main part of the video. Alright, so I did mention Genshin, right? And I mentioned it in the beginning, and I mentioned it for a reason. When you think of anime open world gacha games, you're likely to just think of Genshin. Now, admittedly, the term anime open world gacha game is very specific, but for the entirety of Genshin's lifespan, which is over 3 years mind you, it has been uncontested and has held a tight grip over the genre and even the gacha space as a whole, considering how much it gains on a monthly basis. Yet, despite this overwhelming success, it seems Hoyo themselves are constantly overwhelmed to the point that they haven't really innovated on the game as a whole. Patch after patch, it's the same type of events that are just minigames and reoccurring combat type events that make use of the game's core combat gameplay, just not in a really interesting way, I'd say. And given how they choose to rerun these events over events like those in patch 1.2, or the other lore relevant events, it's just a shame. What I'm trying to get at here is that Genshin hasn't really innovated much and has just stayed the same game patch after patch, not really bringing anything new to the table. And it's a shame because Hoyo, for as successful as they are now, and especially Genshin, hasn't really done anything groundbreaking past the game's initial release. And top it off with the fact that they barely if ever listen to player feedback, and well, what we get a lot of the time is just wasted potential. Now, I do wanna say that, for one, I do not hate Genshin. While I do like Genshin, I do acknowledge its faults. I do see and, agree with the fact that it has gotten stale, and outside of the story, which, hey, it's a story, every game has to have a story, but as a game itself, gameplay wise and everything, it's just not really been that interesting for me. And that's why, again, why I'm really choosing to give Wuthering Waves a chance. Innovation. Because the one thing Genshin did do that was really, really right was bringing gacha games into the mainstream. And thanks to this, many other game companies like Kuro Games, Hypergriff, and Azur's developers Manju, they had to step up their game. They had to really work hard if they wanted to compete in a scene where Genshin was at the top. And this, on its own, has sparked them to innovate. And Wuthering Waves is going to be one of the first of these, the what I call new gen or the new age in gacha games, right? Now, we like to think that innovation goes both ways, right? For Wuthering Waves to innovate, Genshin has to innovate as well, and unfortunately, hoping for Genshin to innovate in a way that really benefits the player base gets more unlikely the more they hand out 3 intertwined fates. But I believe that Wuthering Waves can and will innovate, not just based on what Genshin has done, but also based on what it doesn't do. After all, Genshin isn't the first open world game and neither it will be the last. Do note though that since I never got to experience any of the closed beta tests, I can't speak from first-hand experience, but rather just my observations. And what my observations tell me is that if the developers are willing to listen to player feedback, even going as far as to rework 90% of the story because players didn't like it, then I think what we got here is a game that is actually willing to try new things. Now, I do want to be realistic and fair here, so here's my predictions for Wuthering Waves' release. And it's that it will launch, and popular creators like Tectone and Mtashed will cover the game at a superhuman pace. While this is going on, Wuthering Waves will have problems. Server issues, bugs, and maybe even some glitches, since honestly it takes completing all the 12 labors for a gacha game to even launch in a completely clean state. But in spite of this, content creators, I, and at the community at large, will voice our concerns knowing that Kuru Games will likely take our feedback and criticism into consideration. Because for Wuthering Waves to improve and set as an example for many other gacha games that may come out in the future, it needs proper criticism, proper critiques, and, better critiques than just saying, oh yeah, Genshin's better cause, Genshin's most better, because that kind of criticism is so vague and Kuro Games gets literally nothing out of that. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked, but here's the thing. Months will go by and Genshin will likely still be at the top of the gacha gaming world, but for travelers who are tired and in need of something new and exciting, just around the corners will be Wuthering Waves. That's a lot of yap, and that does it for the video. Personally, since this is my first time doing this sort of thing, I'm actually quite conscious of how I made it, and I doubt I did as good of a job as I'd hope. But hey, that's the fun of content creation, to develop, improve, and try new things. Anyways, if you liked the video, please leave a like, feel free to start a discussion or even meme around in the comments, and do subscribe and ring the notification bell if you want to see more from me. I plan to make content on Wuthering Waves while still doing HSR here and there, while I wait for Manju to bless us with Azur Promilia, baby! Let's go! Anyways, bye.